Kakodash. I want to give double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and grace and peace to you elect around the four winds, believing and pushing this truth in all sincerity. May the blessing of election be upon your houses. This is your fellow servant, Rocario from the GMS Orlando camp, coming at you with another impromptu lesson. Tonight's lesson is going to be entitled, The Walls Are Closing In, all right, on Babylon the Great. And tonight I want to get into, a little bit of information regarding these smart cities and these digital IDs that are being rolled out here in these latter days, because these are a part of the devices and schemes that Esau Edom is coming with in order to forward his enterprise, all right, which we understand to be the integration between biology and technology, all right, in order to establish himself as God in the earth, like it says in 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter. All right, now without further ado, we're going to hop into, these videos. I have a couple of videos I want to play, as well as a couple of precepts, Lord, when this is edifying unto you elect. And one thing to keep in mind is that, these devices and schemes aren't something that's new in the earth. All right, one thing that Esau Edom loves to do is work through gradualism. All right, and the integration between biology and technology has been a gradual scheme from Esau Edom. All right, and now we're starting to see the latter end of that great scheme. Okay, with these smart cities, these digital IDs, and eventually the integration of the RFID microchip within society in order to buy and sell, like it says in Revelation 13 and 16. All right, and that's a precept that we can't stay away from here in these latter days, all right, because it's something that we're starting to see more and more frequently. All right, and if you have anybody telling you otherwise, it's a false prophet. A lot of these guys who have been saying that the mark of the beast is white women or embargoes or anything else other than the RFID microchip are being found to be liars. All right, because these are the things that are being implemented within society. All right, technology is taking a huge precedent in the earth. The integration with technology and your biology has taken a huge precedent in the earth. Not embargoes, not white women, not any other philosophies. This. All right, this is what John the Revelator saw on the island of Patmos. All right, this is the vision that the Lord gave, to John the Revelator. All right, and we're living these things out as we speak. Okay, and again, one thing to keep in mind is that these things aren't new in the earth. All right, this is an ongoing scheme and device from Esau Edom. All right, and his counterpart, Esau 2.0, or Moab, the so-called Chinese, have been implementing these schemes and devices within their society. All right, and this, you can kind of see how Esau is mirroring what's going on over there in the land of Moab, which I have some information on, what's going on over there, because they have what's called a social credit system, all right, which is what's slowly being implemented here in the Americas and here in Babylon the Great, all right, which is eventually, going to lead to something greater, to say the least. But without further ado, before we get this, actually, let's get this. In 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11, it says, "Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices." All right, and we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. Okay, the Satan can't get an advantage over the Lord's elect, Lord willing, we're that number, because we're the children of light, like it says in 1 Thessalonians 5. All right, we're not the children of darkness. We've awoken, all right, to the light here in the valley of the shadow of death. All right, we've awoken to Esau Edom's schemes. All right, we've awoken to who the Lord is and who we are. You understand? And there's no way that Satan can get an advantage of us anymore. All right, because we are the Lord's. All right, this is 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. It says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour." All right, and now more so than ever is the time to be sober, spiritually and mentally, all right, and vigilant concerning the times that we're living in. All right, because the devil, as a roaring lion, is walking about seeking whom he may devour. It's like the animals at the watering hole. Them lions are walking about seeing who's not paying attention to the signs, because there's always signs. There's always signs of an enemy. There's always signs of danger before the danger fully strikes. You see it in the animal kingdom, and you see it in the human world. All right, in the human world, the Lord is giving prophets all right, as that sign of danger, to warn of that danger, that impending danger. And to those who are not paying attention, Satan is like that roaring lion, walking about seeking whom he may devour. And for the majority of our people, here in these latter days, they're going to get devoured by these schemes and devices of Esau, Edom, because they aren't vigilant and they haven't awoken to the truth. But for us, once again, it says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. All right. But let's get into it. Now, this video is from Hammerhead Garage, and it's from 2 years ago. All right, but these same talking points that he's speaking about in this video are applying in today's day and age. All right, listen up.
What's going on, guys? Sean here from Hammerhead. I want to talk to you briefly here today about digital ID. It seems that they've stepped up their efforts in the last little while and are starting to openly talk about that in 15-minute cities. If you want to see the maps for your area where the 15-minute cities plan on being, go to the government website. I'll have the link in the description. They're all there. It's all not even being hidden anymore. It's all in plain sight. So what does it mean, digital ID? So I'll give you some synopsis of what that is. What smart cities really mean for you in digital ID? It's real-time tracking. 20-minute travel limit without a permit. No more camping holidays by the river. No more weekends away. No more choosing which doctor you want to see. No more choosing which school your child will attend. All your money, shopping, travel, entertainment, daily activities, carbon footprint will be tracked and monitored by your digital ID. If you exceed any regulations set by the government, you will be denied access to everyday activities and basically cut out of society. And not only that, they'll levy fines and possible imprisonment.
The government regulations that are set, it will basically deny you access to everyday activities and cut you out of society, which goes right into Revelation, the 13th chapter. All right, let's get that in Revelation 13. But we're going to start at verse 15. It says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as will worship the image of the beast should be killed. All right, now when you go into that word killed in verse 15, all right, and you go to the root word etymology, apo.
Strong's G 575.
Apa. All right, you go to the outline of biblical usage. It says of separation.
Strong's G 575.
Separation of a part
Apa.
from the whole.
Apa.
Any kind of separation of one thing from another by which the union or fellowship of the two is destroyed. All right, and that's exactly what he was describing, all right, with that digital ID, all right, which, when you go into what China has implemented over there in their society right now, all right, with their social credit system, it goes into the same sentiment, all right, that guy from Hammerhead was speaking about, all right, regarding the digital IDs and being ostracized from society if you exceed any government regulations. All right, now from the AI overview, it says China's digital ID and social credit system is a multifaceted initiative aimed at enhancing trustworthiness and compliance across various sectors of society. It combines a digital ID system for citizens with a broader social credit system that accesses and influences individual and business behavior. The system is not a single unified system, but rather a collection of interconnected mechanisms for tracking and evaluating trustworthiness across different domains. All right, and what trustworthiness are they talking about? All right, their conformity to the image, of that society. All right, how much you are conformed to the image of over there in Moab, which eventually is going to be how much you conform, how trustworthy you are, to your conformity to the image of the beast. Salaki had a little tongue twister. But it says the digital ID. China is implementing a digital ID system where citizens provide personal information, including facial scans, to access various online services and platforms. This digital ID is used for authentication and authorization across different online platforms and services. Social credit system. The SOCS aims to build a system of trust and compliance by evaluating individuals and businesses across different aspects of their lives. It tracks financial transactions, legal compliance, and social behavior, drawing on data from various sources, including government records, surveillance systems, and online activity. So basically, it tracks your very existence, your online presence, your presence amongst the streets of that society, your presence amongst your peers, where you work at. All right, it's basically tracking and tracing your whole existence and giving you a grade or giving you access to certain luxuries in the society based on how well you're performing according to their standard. And it ostracizes you or separates you from that society if you're deemed to be unworthy, if you're deemed to be untrustworthy, which is exactly the same type of system that is coming to America, Babylon the Great. All right, we just heard it. All right, with the digital ID. This whole framework is nothing new. All right, this is nothing new on the earth. It's being tested on the Moabites right now, and eventually it's coming to these Americans, these unsuspecting Babylonians. And when it does, that's going to be the hour of temptation, man. Because, hey, like Revelation 13 and 13 says, or when you go back to it and you go back to the 16th verse, it says, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. All right, so in order to participate in your everyday necessity, buying, selling, which we do on a daily basis, all right, in order to participate in your daily necessities of life, all right, that mark is going to be a necessity in these up and coming days for these people, at least. But for us that are hopefully elect, our necessities are going to come from Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, all right, which we're trusting in right now. The scriptures say that we esteem the words of the Lord's mouth more than our necessary meat. We're being nourished by these words, first and foremost, so that in this time, all right, we would know where and who to lean on for our nourishment, which is Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, man. But it says it all right here. It lays it out all right here. It's all been laid out in the scriptures, which is why Satan can't get an advantage of us, all right, because we're not ignorant to his devices. But I want to play, the rest of that video a little bit. Matter of fact, let me get this first, because while I play the video, unfortunately, I can't play the video while I'm recording because it'll have, some sort of lag on the video. So I have to chop it up and play the video and then come back. So let's get this before I play the video again. It says, the push for digital IDs is gaining momentum as governments and organizations explore ways to streamline identity verification, enhance security, and improve access to services. Digital IDs, such as mobile driver's license, offer potential benefits like increased convenience and reduced fraud compared to physical IDs. However, concerns about privacy, data security, and potential for misuse remain, prompting discussions about the responsible implementation of digital ID systems. All right. And it tells you what a digital ID is. And it says the reasons for the push: increase convenience, enhance security, reduce fraud, streamline process. All right, which are all talking points that these governments are pushing to make this more acceptable. All right, they're pushing convenience first and foremost. All right, the convenience of having something on your body to identify you and to track, your life, to help you keep up with your life and your daily bills, your daily, health care, and so on and so forth. All right, they're pushing the convenience of having something on your body, a wearable. All right, RFK Jr. Just came out recently speaking about his plan to have all Americans with wearable devices by 2030. All right, so they're pushing these ideas out here to the public gradually to get them used to having something on your body that is tracking some form or facet of your life. And eventually it's going to lead, all right, to what John the Revelator saw in Revelations 13 and 16. Okay, it's all coming together, man. All right, it's all coming together according to the word of the Lord, man. And we're living in this time. And the reason why we're speaking about this so frequently is because this is one of the end time prophecies that were said to happen before the Lord's return. All right, so see, World War III is synonymous with the RFID microchip, or the mark of the beast, being implemented within society. All right, because after the mark of the beast was implemented, all right, it was said that World War III would happen and the Lord will return shortly after, all right, or shortly in the midst of World War III taking place. All right, so we're speedily, looking forward to these things. All right, we're keeping our eyes diligently fixed, all right, on these prophecies, because these are the prophecies that the Lord said would happen before he made his return. All right, and as these things happen, we're able to tell that the Lord is closer than he's ever been. All right, and these are signs from the Lord, all right, ultimately to tell us, hey, tighten up and get ready, prepare, because I'm on my way, But without further ado, I'm going to play a little bit more of this video, and then we're going to grab some footage from this video right here from Al Jazeera English, which is a video that I was put onto by the elder from the UK. His channel name is GMS UK. The end is nigh. All right, and he was playing a little bit of this video in his recent lesson, and I want to play a couple of minutes of this video as well. All right, so you can get a little bit of information regarding these smart cities and how, it's basically an increase in surveillance, in order to better push this whole system, that Esau is coming with to track and trace. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it.
Or carbon rules. This isn't a joke, guys. This is coming. They're not even kidding. This is absolutely going to happen. So most of the premiers in Canada have agreed already to this. If you guys might recall, Trudeau had meetings this week with all the premiers, and basically what was discussed was the healthcare funding from the federal government, which will only be given if they agree to enroll in digital ID. So if you're going to be getting any healthcare funding from the federal government, you can be 100% sure that your premiers and your government officials for your province sold you out into digital slavery. So just keep an eye on that. Basically what it means is you're going to be in a prison without bars, and they're going to be telling you everything you can do, where you can go, what you can buy. They're going to control all your money. You're not going to have any say in what you buy with it. If you go and try and buy a steak, 1 week it may come up and say, you know what, you've already reached your carbon footprint this month. You're not allowed to buy any more meat until next month. If that's the way you want to live, then have at her, but I'm not doing it. And a lot of us aren't. And there's going to be some other societies that are going to be formed up in the ashes of this, and are going to run simultaneously with this bunch of craziness. So those of you that are wishing and hoping and thinking that a spring election in Canada is going to save...
To meet the challenges of our booming urban spaces, citizens around the world are increasingly being told that their cities need to become smart. Smart city is a catch-all buzzword to describe how technology can be integrated into cities to make them supposedly more efficient, more green, and more safe. But the smart city approach is also radically changing the metropolis in ways that make citizens more watched and trackable than ever before. You can see that transformation in two cities that have labeled themselves smart. Hyderabad in India, one of the most surveilled places on the planet, and Hong Kong.
The Hong Kong government launched what is called the Smart City Project, and they are actually aiming to be a world-class smart city. And what it means is you see more and more surveillance cameras in Hong Kong. Only this year, the government has installed 2,000 more around the city. And as you're traveling around, you see something called the smart lamppost, and you don't really know what it's for. It proclaims itself to be for monitoring air quality, but in fact, people always wonder, oh, is that actually also for facial recognition? So the Smart City initiative allows the Hong Kong government to digitize your life such that your life leaves behind trails and trails of documentation of how you live, where you live, what you do, and who you hang out with.
Hyderabad in India, in the state of Telangana, is one of Modi's 100 smart cities. What we see there is the digitization of education and healthcare services, automated monitoring of traffic, so seemingly benign aspects like that. But in addition to that, we have the integrated command and control center, whereby policing and data collection will be centralized. They're trying to invisibilize the policing infrastructure and embed it into the city. And so you've got thousands of cameras. That is sold to the public as a public safety measure. And historically, it's a Muslim-dominated city. And that's an interesting historical context to think about, given the Hindu nationalist Modi government and the kind of long history of the surveillance and persecution of Muslims in the city. The central promise of the smart city, despite its kind of techno-utopian visions, it's actually about managing disorder and chaos, managing certain populations who are deemed kind of a threat.
We're living in the time of Esau being revealed. All right, and the Lord said that that day, all right, that great day of judgment will not come except the come of falling away first and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. And now that man of sin, that son of perdition, is being revealed to be none other than Esau Edom, the so-called white man, chiefly the elites of Esau Edom, are those who control and mismanage the resources. This is 2 Thessalonians 2 and verse 3. It says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalt himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. And how is he going about to establish this Godhead? Through the technology, all right, that you were just listening to. These 15-minute cities, these digital IDs, and eventually the RFID microchip. All right, this is how he's going about to establish his Godhead in the planet Earth. Because the Heavenly Father is omnipresent, all right, meaning everywhere at all times. And he's omnipotent, meaning all-powerful. And to mimic that, Esau is trying to integrate, first and foremost, biology with technology and increase surveillance and his ability to track and to trace every living organism on the planet Earth, so that he can be omnipresent and so that he can be omnipotent, controlling, whether or not you're able to buy, sell, or essentially live. All right, this is how this devil is thinking. And he's been exposed now, man. It says, who opposeth and exalt himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. All right. I'm going to jump down. No, I'm going to keep going. It says, remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things. And now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. All right, and we're living out, all right, the Lord consuming them with the spirit of his mouth, which is the prophets. And eventually, the Lord is going to come and destroy with the brightness of his coming. These are the days we're coming into. Remain vigilant, remain sober, all right, because these things are coming down the pipeline. All right, but the Lord has a greater plan, all right, coming for his elect. The Lord is going to deliver and destroy our enemies. But with that being said, shalom, stay up.